The views and opinions expressed by the host of this show are his and his alone. They do not reflect the views of this network, his employer, any of the universities he attended, his family and friends or former roommates, any of the 5 Temptations, the 4 Tops, or any number of the Pips. They may or may not reflect the views of the other voices in his head. His dog, however, agrees with him 100%. And now, broadcasting live from a secure, undisclosed location deep in the heart of Texas, it's the Snarky Parenthetical. Here's your host. He's highly caffeinated and mildly irritated. Here's Lathan Watts.
All right, welcome back to the Snarky Parenthetical. Good to be back. Thanks for joining us. Start your weekend out or over the weekend, whenever you choose to watch and or listen. So let's get into it. We'll do a little news at the top of the show usually. First story I want to talk about today, Time Magazine released their issue where they list the world's most influential people. First of all, were you aware that Time Magazine even existed? I was not. I did not know it was still out there until they published, this ridiculous nonsense that found its way to my inbox. So the irony of Time Magazine declaring who the world's most influential people is not lost on me. But apparently it was lost on them.
Yeah, a magazine that has maybe, I don't know, 20 or 30 subscribers that I know.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. You're going to tell me who the world's most influential people are?
Yeah.
I don't think so, Scooter. And then we get to the actual list and who is on the cover of this magazine, none other than Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
Wow.
And I introduce them in that order for a reason. I think, I could probably rewrite the headline here for Time and make it maybe a little more apropos so that maybe more people might actually pick this up if they put this couple on the cover and said, with a question instead of a statement, the question being, are there 2 other people in the world for whom I give less of a flying about? Apologies for, and I don't know why it was flying, but that's just how it came out.
One of those things.
Because that would be accurate, and I would actually read that. If I saw that couple with that question, I would say, now you've piqued my interest.
Right.
Yeah. Let me see who else is in here.
Right. Yeah.
Who else is on the list? Milli Vanilli.
Been doing a real good job of not caring about them for a long time.
For a long time. Yeah. As Americans, we've been not caring about the royal family since 1776.
Yeah, there you go.
We're getting pretty good at it.
Yep.
So thanks, Time, for reminding us, I guess. And even the picture. Okay, the picture, you have Meghan Markle in this white pantsuit, like in power stance, and there's Harry seated behind her, kind of leaning up. Yeah. With this sad sort of look on his face, as if he's like almost like he's photobombing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, remember me?
Right. Almost peeking out, as an afterthought.
Right. I mean, this is. I looked at that and I was like, you're an Afghanistan combat vet.
Right.
Like, have you ever seen somebody go from that to a more emasculated lapdog in such a short period of time? I
can't say I have.
It's like, this is like Yoko Ono level voodoo that this woman has performed. So
it's kind of incredible.
It really is. Just the look on his face, the pose, them saying they're influential. I mean, I thought we were sort of done with these folks when these 2 mega millionaires did an hour-long interview conducted by a billionaire, where they spent the entire hour complaining about their lot in life. Like, was that not enough? Like, could we not just be done with them after that?
Yeah, I thought we had our collective eye roll moment right then, and had moved on from them.
Yeah,
apparently
because this keeps up. I mean, I'm gonna have like a repetitive stress injury from eye roll. Like if there is such a thing of like carpal tunnel for the eyeballs from doing, oh, are you kidding me? I'm gonna have it pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much longer. I don't want my eyes to get stuck in that position.
Yeah. You might be in danger.
I know. I mean,
one more magazine cover.
Right. And so that's, yeah.
And you're right. The pose just speaks volumes.
It does. I mean, it's everything. A picture is 1,000 words. That's worth a lot of words.
Mm-hmm.
That pose right there.
Yep.
And really like the lack of any sort of hint of irony.
Yes.
And total lack of self-awareness really can only be matched, if not maybe surpassed, by AOC arriving at the Met Gala in a gown emblazoned with the words "tax the rich." Okay. So.
Oh yeah.
First of all, there's nothing.
Where to begin?
Exactly. Yeah, I could do a whole show probably. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with this woman's rise to prominence that doesn't fit neatly into the word everything.
Yes.
Yeah, she was doing more for society when she was pouring drinks in a bar somewhere in New York.
Oh, without a doubt.
Far more valuable contribution to civil society as a bartender.
Oh yeah.
Than anything she's done since. So, yeah, I could probably stop there, but I won't. First,
please continue.
Yeah, I mean, first thing that strikes me is, number one, you're wearing a white dress after Labor Day. Okay, they're
party foul already.
Yeah, we've got rules about this sort of thing. Okay, and I don't care who you are, you're not big enough. You know.
Yeah,
I know you think you're a celebrity, and we've talked on the show before about what an absolute travesty it is that we have turned politicians into celebrities.
Yep.
And she has capitalized on it like nobody I've ever seen.
No kidding.
But even you are not a big enough celebrity in my book to just start flaunting the rules that separate us from the barbarians. And that is one of them. Okay. So there, first off, yeah.
You'd say we're living in a society.
That's right.
Rules.
That's right.
In a society here.
And this is one of them. Okay. Post Labor Day, you put the white dresses up. You put the white. I've got white bucks. I put them up. They're on the rack now, right?
Yep.
Seersuckers retired for the rest of the calendar year. They're just
there you go.
They're things we do around here.
Yep.
So white dress after Labor Day. Second, before, even from afar, if you didn't really read the slogan on the back of the dress, scrawled in like, communist blood red.
Right.
From afar, this. Before you read what it says, it sort of resembles a Chick-fil-A sack. Before you really hone in and read it, like when you just see that red lettering on the white, it's like, is that woman wearing a Chick-fil-A sack? Because I'm pretty sure that would be blasphemous.
Yeah, no doubt.
That is blasphemy at its best, right there. Like based on all the positions that you advocate for, and you're wearing something that reminds people of the delivery method of Jesus' chicken.
Man.
Yeah. You don't want to be standing next to her because there may be some thunderbolts coming down at some point.
It's dangerous territory.
It is. I mean, I'm pretty sure I haven't read Revelation in a bit, but that might be in there. It's one of the signs of the apocalypse. Like this could be.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there probably saying, this might be like that one of the four horsemen, the guy on the pale horse. And who's the rider's name was Death, and hell followed with him.
Is there a chance that perhaps horsemen is a loose interpretation? Perhaps horsewoman
could be.
Perhaps less pale than others.
You know what?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yep. It was stark white, that dress. So there's that. Before you even get into the fact that the slogan is "Tax the Rich."
Yep.
All right, and she is wearing it at an event. $30,000 a ticket to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Met Gala is like, it is such a just opulent celebration of all things wealth. It's right out of like Pan Am and the Hunger Games. This is like a scene from the Capitol in the Hunger Games.
Yes.
Yes. That is the
perfect
Met Gala
description. Yes.
Okay, and this is where you're going to go wear your "Tax the Rich" slogan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is like the Olympics of virtue signaling, and there's your gold medal winner right there.
Top of the podium.
Yeah, because everybody in there, and don't tell me, oh yeah, you were speaking truth to power. Everybody in there, on the surface, will tell you they agree with you.
Right.
There was no risk whatsoever in wearing this to the Met Gala.
Right.
Every person in there was going to say, oh, how brave, you're exactly right. And then go talk to their accountant about how to avoid every possible tax in the tax code that they say they agree with you on.
Yep.
Before you even get into the facts of who pays taxes in this country, it is the rich. It's like the top 1% pay about 40% of the tax bill in this country, and there's about 60% of people who pay nothing.
Right.
So what exactly are you advocating for?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how much do you think these folks should pay?
Yeah.
Because if you confiscated every penny of the top 1%, it wouldn't fund the federal government for a day.
True.
Not at the rate we spend money. Yeah,
I mean, with the policies that same side of the aisle wants to put in place too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of it's this endless circle of nonsense logic where you're just like, well, or it kind of does make sense, but in a horribly twisted way. Right. That's like,
tax the rich, but not me.
Yeah, tax the rich, but not me. But then the burden falls on the rest of us. And so then to help them out, we think of more social programs to add to the debt, which the rich need to then fund that.
Of course, yeah.
And
it's...
Yeah. I mean...
if you spend too much time on it,
Oof.
really trying to analyze it, you'll just absolutely go insane, which is, I think, maybe what happened to everybody on that side of the aisle. Like,
could be.
It's like I've said before, we are now like a country, if there's a division, it is between the governing and the governed, and, it's one policy for us, everything else for y'all.
Yep.
And the only other division is just those of us still in touch with reality and those of us who aren't.
Exactly.
And there's not a person at the Met Gala in touch with reality.
No.
Not at all.
That is a whole nother world from the rest of the...
Congratulations, AOC. Yeah. Like, virtue signaling, gold medal, whatever you want to call it. You have topped even yourself, which I wasn't quite sure was possible. But the most overused word in the English language these days is unbelievable. So I'm doing my best to eliminate it from my vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
So...
No kidding.
So there's the kind of the news that piqued my interest this week.
Oh, in fact, you just reminded me to make one more point about the speaking truth to power. Someone who actually did do that and say the controversial thing. I was watching the news last night. Nicki Minaj.
Right? I knew that's where you're going. Yep.
And wouldn't you know, just for asking the question, right?
Just slaughtered on social media.
Yep.
You are not allowed to have that opinion.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That's when it gets a little scary. I'm just like...
It is, and that will... I know we're kind of running along on the segment, but I think there's two things that will ever stop this madness of cancel culture and everything else, whatever you want to call it, wokeness, all this. It's one, when people that they go after refuse to put up with it and just say, nothing you say or do is going to make me... say anything different or do anything different, and just sort of refuse to be canceled.
Right.
And then the other thing is when they start eating their own.
Yeah.
And once it starts coming for
that's when
that's when, you combine those two things, that might be the answer to this. So there you go. All right. Segment 2, we tend to do some either sports or entertainment news, and the sad news in entertainment this week, the loss of Norm Macdonald, at age 61, who fought a very, very private battle with cancer for about 10 years. I
didn't realize it was that long. Wow.
Yeah, I saw one of his friends, posted that, having cancer for 10 years and never telling anyone is about the most Norm Macdonald thing you can do. And I kind of cleaned that up, but that's pretty much how he said it.
Uh-huh.
And I got to tell you, this guy, there's not another one like him.
Yeah.
On so many levels.
Without a
He
doubt.
was my all-time favorite Weekend Update anchor on Saturday Night Live. And even though I don't really think the show is that good anymore,
Right.
it kind of waxes and wanes. You know, they'd have a really good cast and they'd get big and they'd go off and do movies, and they'd have to kind of reload, and it would kind of, lull for a little while. I've been a huge fan of the show for years and years. And this guy on Weekend Update was just my all-time favorite. You could never predict his punchlines.
Exactly.
And to me, that is a mark of real comedic genius. There are lots of comics, especially like in late night, like the back when like Jay Leno was doing the Tonight Show. Like by the time he finished the setup to the joke, I could pretty much tell you what the punchline was going to be.
Exactly.
And not to say that it wasn't funny,
It was just very formulaic. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you could just predict it. It's kind of the same thing with music. There are some songs like, I can tell you where the song is going. Just chord progression or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And to make like a musical analogy again, if the whole world of comedy is like playing the blues in EAB, Norm Macdonald was playing jazz on a typewriter. I mean,
that's a perfect way to put it. Yeah.
He was just, I mean, not playing this, right? And he was so comfortable with making people uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like,
He thrived on it.
You could just tell.
Yeah.
And especially some of the funniest things that I loved him on Saturday Night Live, but some of the funniest things of him on TV are him as a guest on the late night talk shows where he just obliterated the format.
Right.
Just
Yep.
just go on YouTube and look up the moth joke on Conan O'Brien.
Yes.
He loved you could just see it in his eyes. Like he loved to tell a joke that he knew he could make a really funny joke out of, but he would rather make it a bad joke and watch you be uncomfortable with how bad it was.
Exactly.
And just sit there and let it just fester.
There were a couple of times I on his Conan interviews where he gets to the what was the quote unquote punchline,
right?
And it's just like some nonsensical like, really, that was it? And the audience starts laughing, not because it was that funny, but just because of how
they're so uncomfortable.
Ridiculous it was. Yeah,
exactly. And you could just see the little gleam in his eye, like that was what he lived for.
And then Conan turns to the audience, and Conan's like, "Don't clap for that.
Don't do that. Yeah,
don't
encourage that. Yeah." Which was even funnier because those two guys were friends. They were both. Conan was a writer for Saturday Night Live,
right?
So they'd known each other for years. He knew what he was getting into. Like when he bring Norm, he knew what he was getting into. And Norm Macdonald, I think David Letterman said if he could have Norm Macdonald on every show, he would do it.
Wow.
Like he was.
It'd be a fresh show every night.
You would never, like I said, you would never know what you're going to get. He did more to bring O.J. Simpson to justice than the entire American legal system.
Ain't that the truth?
He was fired from Saturday Night Live because some NBC execs were friends with OJ, and they told him stop doing OJ jokes, and he would not. And they just got more and better. And I remember watching the show when OJ was acquitted, and he's doing Weekend Update, and he opens up with, "In this week's news, apparently murder is legal in the state of California." It's just, and there's never been anybody with a better deadpan delivery. Like he just says it and just waits.
It's just like he
just
was
sits
delivering
there
it.
staring at you. Might maybe grin a little bit, and his occasional improvs, like when he deliver a joke like that on Saturday Night Live in front of a live audience, and the mixed reaction from the crowd, you could just tell.
Right.
That's what he's shooting for. Right.
Exactly.
When the crowd doesn't know if they should boo or laugh, that was his idea of heaven on earth. And
the perfect mix of uncomfortable. That's that was his sweet spot.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember him doing a joke about Michael Jackson, and the crowd kind of doing the ooh, like ooh, like or should we go there? And
Right.
him just looking at the crowd going, you realize he's a homosexual pedophile, right? Like, y'all, you do know that. Just, he was not going to put up with it.
Right.
Like, no. You know,
Not letting you get away with that one.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just a giant
Wow.
of
Yeah.
comedy. I personally do not have the guts to do anything remotely in the realm of what he did. I'm not as comfortable with the awkward telling of a bad joke and just letting it sit there. Like, it's just not. I think it's a really rare person that can do that.
Yes.
Most comics don't. You know,
Right.
if they feel like they're bombing, you know,
Yeah.
he almost reveled in it.
Exactly.
And it's just, like I said, I mean, everybody else was playing blues and he was playing jazz on a typewriter. Just completely one of a kind. So rest in peace, Norm Macdonald.
Yep. Yeah. I read a couple things. Number one, the master of the punchline after the punchline.
Yeah.
Where it's like he'll say what seems like the punchline, and you're just like, really? And then there's like this nervous laughter, and then he'll just say some little offhanded remark afterwards, after the reaction has happened.
Right.
And you just can't help but busting up.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, okay, you know.
Right. And you know that he's good enough that he could deliver a killer punchline.
Oh, yeah.
That would just, bring the roof down.
Exactly.
Wouldn't do it.
Nope.
Would not do it. It's like, nope, I would rather say something weird and awkward and watch you deal with it.
Exactly.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, one of the greats. Spend some time over the weekend. Just YouTube some Norm Macdonald stuff. I guarantee you will laugh.
That's for sure.
And a lot of people don't know this about him. He was actually he was a deeply religious man. And actually
I didn't really even know
a
that
deep
either.
thinker. I've said before, I think comics are some of the smartest people in entertainment. And a friend of mine, Dustin Messer, has a article at American Conservative called Turd Ferguson and the Philosophy of Hope. And it is fantastic. I would just, everybody go read that. You'll be better for it. But him, which is a reference to him doing Burt Reynolds' impression on Saturday Night Live and on Celebrity Jeopardy and changing his name to Turd Ferguson. I would just love to have been in some of the pitch meetings. When they're pitching these ideas. You know, and Norm's like, I'll do Burt, but at some point I'm going to change my name to Turd Ferguson. What? Okay.
Because it's Will Ferrell, playing the Trebek part, and it is interesting just knowing who Norm Macdonald was, because Ferrell's whole thing was being exasperated with Turd Ferguson, but you almost wonder if some of that was very real. If it was just this freaking guy,
and exactly, and how much of it did he improv while they were out there live on the stage?
Exactly.
Like the Turd Ferguson thing is, bound to be scripted.
Sure, that was,
But when he shows up with the giant foam cowboy hat, probably scripted. But was it scripted for him to walk over and stand right next to Will Ferrell in camera? Exactly. I don't know. That's a question I'd like to have answered. Yeah. So I could probably do another show just about Norm Macdonald. But rest in peace. Go check out some YouTube stuff over the weekend. I highly recommend it. And read Dustin's article. So we got a little bit of time left for me to just mention some things, that I find mildly irritating.
Yes.
And here's one of those things. It's, it sort of bothers me, and maybe bothers me that it doesn't bother you. I think it maybe should.
One of those things.
Yeah. So at work in the kitchen, we got, sort of the same policy most people have in the workplace. If you bring stuff, it's just kind of free for everybody. You just leave it out on the counter. So I come back from lunch, and I'm walking through, because my office is next to the kitchen, and I see a pack of Twizzlers laid out on the counter. And as I'm observing this, a coworker comes in, sees the same thing, And of course, my reaction is, like, who brought this nonsense in here? And my coworker says, "Oh, I love Twizzlers." And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Twizzlers? That is a waste of chewing. Like, you don't like these? Like, it's barely flavored wax. I don't understand how these things are even on the market. Like, how is this considered food even? Mm-hmm. And I now have strong doubts about you.
Yeah.
You know, because you claim to like these. I mean, to me, they're like the Darth Vader of candy. Twisted and evil.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this same person, who I respect and admire greatly, I will not name them, goes on to tell me that his or her other favorite is black licorice.
Ooh.
And I'm like, well, now I think you're possibly a communist. I mean, I haven't quite finished "Live Not by Lies" by Rod Dreher yet, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be in there somewhere. Like, this person's a fan of black licorice. That's probably a sign they're a Marxist.
One of the telltale signs.
Because to me, black licorice, that just reminds me of, like, this is something, Cold War era, living in the East German Soviet bloc somewhere, and just a dismal apartment, government-built concrete block where the one little thing that you get, for the month is this little piece of black licorice. That's supposed to bring you some sense of joy. Like, here's the only sweet thing that we give out in Soviet Union.
Yes.
Black licorice. Mm-hmm. Like, what?
Yeah. I totally agree. We have so many choices when it comes to dessert foods, candy specifically.
Right.
So many very flavorful choices.
Exactly. I mean, there's a reason we lead the world in type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
And black licorice ain't it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you pick this? With the myriad of sugar-filled items in the grocery store, and you're going to tell me, "Oh yeah, I love black licorice." I've got my doubts about you now. Keep my eye on you. I'm just telling you. You know who you are.
That's yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, much better options out there.
And while we're talking about, potentially dangerous food items, this week's show sponsored by the Cornballer. The Cornballer, yes. I must say, was ahead of its time. Back in the 70s when the genius that was George Bluth introduced the Cornballer. I really just think it was ahead of its time. Ahead of its time, and maybe slightly behind FDA regulations.
If not greatly behind.
So this week's show brought to you by the Cornballer. I wish it would have taken off, if for no other reason than to see Richard Simmons in the infomercial trying to hawk it.
Oh, yeah.
His little sequin shorts.
That would have been quality TV right there.
Absolutely. So thank you, Cornballer and George Bluth, wherever you are.
Grateful as always.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we are just about to run up on the clock here. So I had one other thing I was going to talk about, but I think I'll save it for next week. So maybe here just a little teaser. We like to do
tease, yeah,
a little bit. We like to do some interesting stories from around the country, and we tend to pick on Florida. But I've got one out of Missouri that all the Florida people can go. All right, okay, Missouri. We see you. All right,
stepping up your game.
Yeah, exactly. So tune into that. We'll cover that next time. I want to give it its due, and I don't think the last minute here is enough time. So we'll hit that next time. So thank you everybody for joining us again. It's the Snarky Parent. It's even hard for me to say. The Snarky Parenthetical on the JPK Network. Thank you all. See you next time.